Hey, my name is Elon Srulovich, and this is the Worthy Man podcast. And today I got a really lighthearted topic, just talking about the decay of masculinity and the collapse of society. So stay tuned.
Worthy Man Podcast. Worthy Man Podcast Show.
All right, so I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to play this video. I think it encapsulates what we see going on pretty well, and I think it's really directed at the men in our society. So let's just give it a watch.
This society is too weak. Do you think somebody in the Stone Ages had depression? A more modern variation, the Spartans. Do you think they had depression? Maybe you are laughing, but all of these groups, they are too busy with their body. They are too busy with activity to be depressed. Yeah, but nowadays, how does the time look? You can sit if you want from morning till evening just in front of the screen, and nothing's gonna happen anymore. We need to make us stronger again. Get more physicality into your life.
We used to be a society that put virtues like fortitude, like strength, like courage, especially for our men, at the top of the list. And what we've done now is we've taken the antithesis of that. We haven't just gotten rid of them. We've taken the opposite. We've taken things like safety and agreeableness and said, no, these are the most important things. We used to be a society that would teach our young boys that they should stand strong in the face of danger, that they should be willing to sacrifice whatever it took for the betterment of the people around them. And now what we're doing is we're telling them that they're toxic, that their very masculinity, the thing that is the core of them, that they are born as, is oppressive, is dangerous, and that they should taper it. They should pull it back. I mean, we've gone from a society that used to love being uncomfortable, that used to love adversity, that knew they could rise above it, to a society that now tells everyone that being uncomfortable is the worst thing that can possibly happen to you. And you should never be uncomfortable. You should never be at risk. You should be safe all the time. And look, I believe it's by design. I believe they're destroying our male population because it makes our country very weak. And I have a lot of evidence to support this. I'm not one of those conspiracy theory guys who's, into psyops and all that stuff. But if you look at some of the articles, which I'll show later, it's undeniable that there's some degree of social engineering here. And I want to talk about some personal stories. My cousin was a soldier in Israel, and he did a very rough incursion into a place called Suketan. And he came out and he was dead inside for years. Just didn't want to live life. He was kind of a shell of himself. And he got comfortable being that way. And comfort, I promise you, is death. And so what happened was he went on for a few years like this, and all of a sudden he started having some pain in his right arm, right where he carried the transponder, the military transponder. And some time passed and the pain got worse. Some more time passed and the pain got worse. And he never checked on it until it became so unbearable that he ended up in the hospital, screaming in pain. And they did an x-ray and they found out that he had osteosarcoma, a form of very, very aggressive bone cancer. And he actually had a very low chance of survival. But you know what? He came in being the soldier that he is, and he said, I'm going to beat this. And what they had to do is not only put him through the most extreme form of chemo and radiation therapy, like aggressive chemo and radiation therapy that destroyed his body, they also had to remove most of his arm and his shoulder. And he doesn't have a working arm anymore. And one day I went to him and I'm like, how are you so positive all the time? How are you so happy all the time? And he said, look, I wouldn't give anything up right now. I wouldn't want my arm back. I wouldn't want it back because then I would lose the gift of what the cancer gave me. And what the cancer gave me was a lightning bolt to be alive again. It shocked me back into existence. It's the greatest gift I ever could have had. And so he wouldn't even take his arm back to lose that gift. And so when it comes to adversity is the thing that will shock you back into life. I have another story. I just went and did a martial arts class. I've been doing martial arts my whole life. I love martial arts. Black belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, 5th degree black belt Filipino martial arts. Been doing Muay Thai since I'm a kid. And I like to dojo hop. And I went to this school just a few days ago. And the guy had a huge scar. The teacher had a huge scar on his neck. I said, hey, man, what happened to your neck? And he goes, oh, a year and a half ago, I had a brain tumor. Shit. And he's like, yeah, they cut the balance nerve. And now I'm dizzy all the time, but I'm dealing with it. I'm going to physio. I'm like, man, I'm so sorry you have to go through it. And he goes, no, I wouldn't give it up for anything. And I was like, what is this guy talking about? And he said, before the tumor, he wasn't living his life. He was in a dark place. He wasn't happy. And that the tumor kind of, again, shocked him back into reality. A direct link to what my cousin told me. And he said, sometimes you have to be opened up to be open up, meaning sometimes you have to literally go through the trauma of a brain surgery to realize that life is worth living, to face that adversity, to step away from comfort. Stop being comfortable. Put the gun to your own head. That's what we have to do in society today, because we used to have rites of passage. We used to take young boys and say that the way you're going to gain value in society is by proving yourself, by going out and challenging yourself, by integrating into reality, by going through a hardship, because you should celebrate adversity. As a man, you should be willing to go out there and face it. It's an important quality for the male population of any successful civilization. And what we've done now is we've gotten rid of that. So these young boys who used to go through that, that's where their value came from. That's where they learn to control and taper all that masculinity that people think is toxic is actually a wonderful tool, because they used to go through this rite of passage and they used to realize, I am a contributor to the people around me. I am powerful. I do have responsibility in this world. And they faced it. And now, by getting rid of that, we give no avenue for young boys to realize how to be men. We give them no opportunity to be responsible. We tell them that the very thing they are is dangerous and that they should shy away from it. And what has that resulted in? It's resulted in a population of young boys who have rates of depression that are exponentially higher than we've ever seen. We have rates of nihilism that are resulting in terrible, terrible tragedies. And these young boys have identity issues. They're even scared to talk to girls now. They're no longer wanting to get into relationships. We have destroyed our male population. And again, I believe it's by design. And if you don't believe me, like I said, I'm not one of those conspiracy theorists, but there's a lot of articles that just come out. I want you to look. I'm going to pull this up right now. I want you to look at what Calvin Klein used to use as models and what they use as models today. And tell me there's not something very, very weird, very disturbing on an insidious level going on in society. I'm just going to share my screen here. Let's pull up this window. This is directly from the internet, right here. Look at this dude on the, I don't even want to call him a dude, but look, we used to have Mark Wahlberg, Rip Mark Wahlberg. Okay. Super in shape, super good looking, someone who looks capable, someone who looks strong. And now what we have is this thing on the left. And this is not a one-time incident. Calvin Klein's been doing this a lot, and they always put the male behind the woman, and often he's cowering. He often has feminine clothing on, and he's always morbidly obese and disgusting and feminized. And that is the modern day trend. And if you don't believe me, again, that they're trying to steal the strength from our male population, this is a recent little article that came out from MSNBC. The far right's obsession with fitness is going digital. So now being fit, being capable, being strong is a far right supremacist, white supremacist movement. That's the new motto. And if you think that it's a one-off, because that's always the thing I hear when I talk about this stuff. Oh, it's just one article. You can't take it seriously. It's not just one article. Going back 3 years. Oh, well, this is Time Magazine. Okay, so the white supremacist origins of exercise. In other words, this is not a new trend for the media to try and push this, to social engineer our boys into being weak. They have literally been calling exercise white supremacy for the last few years. And it goes deeper than that. The Smithsonian proudly announced a few years ago in its race guidelines that hard work and rational thinking are white values. Now, the one consistency behind the three articles that I just showed is they use whiteness as the great deterrent to want to do something, which is a whole other issue in itself. Why are you using whiteness as an insult? You're just going to lead to a race war. That's all you're going to do here. You're using identity politics as a tool to vilify people based on the color of their skin, and you don't think you're the racist? By the way, they also said that being on time is a white supremacist value. They are trying to destroy us. There is no other explanation. Again, the conspiracy theory here is that this is somehow all a happenstance of moral relativism and their weird, screwed up progressive ideology, and it has no motivation behind it whatsoever. There is a motivation here, a disturbing one. So anytime they tell you that they are not trying to destroy our male population, there's enough evidence out there, an undeniable amount. And this whole body positivity thing, this whole thing of like, you should never fat shame someone, that it's great. Fat is beautiful. It's great to be unhealthy. Get as chunky as you want. You could still be healthy being fat. It kind of reminds me of during COVID, their great hypocrisy. And if you want to test that something's a religion, here's the way to do it. Be a major hypocrite to your followers and see if they will still follow you day after day as you change your position. Because during COVID, what they told you is it was so dangerous to go visit your dying parent in the hospital, that they had to keep you away from them on their final days. But it wasn't dangerous to go out and twerk with a million people in the name of BLM, because that's more important. And if you can have those two things happening simultaneously and people believe that it's somehow okay to be around a million people, strangers in the street with champagne bottles twerking, but not okay for someone to go visit their dying parent, then you are being controlled by a fundamentalist religious ideology, which is exactly what we see here. A religious ideology telling you that your masculinity is toxic. It is not. Do not shy away from it. Your strength is the greatest thing about you. Be courageous. Face adversity. You know, my one challenge to every single man listening to this or boy out there listening to this is look for the thing that will challenge you. Put the gun to your own head, because if you don't do it, then something will happen in your life that will do it for you. Like it happened to my cousin, like it happened to that martial arts teacher. God will place the adversity in your way in a way that you don't want it. Because that toxicness inside your body from just being so comfortable and so weak will fester, and it will grow, and it will grow into something insidious. It will grow into your behavior to the outside world becoming insidious, or it will grow to something inside you being insidious and destroying you. Put the gun to your own head. Find the thing to challenge yourself every day. If you're overweight and you get these hunger pains and it's hard and you want that bite of that hamburger and you want to eat that chocolate bar, fight it. Fight it. Look at it like a war. That's the thing that's going to make you stronger. Don't look for comfort. Don't shy away from pain. Let it hurt. If it's hard for you to be consistent at something, let's say you want to learn a new language and every day you're having a little bit of trouble. You're like, for some reason, I didn't do it today. I didn't do it today. Be consistent. Consistency is a superpower. It's uncomfortable to be consistent. It's uncomfortable to know you're going to do everything every single day for the rest of your life. It's scary. Be scared and face it. The notion that courage is not being scared is a lie. Courage is being scared and still facing that fear. And I don't care what that fear is, whatever it is for you. Look, for me, like I said, I've been doing martial arts my whole life. It's hard some days. It's hard. You just don't want to do it. Some days you don't want to go into the gym and fight someone and get your ass whooped, but you do it because you know that it makes you a little bit better. You know that it makes you stronger. And that's our job. And anytime someone tells you, oh, you're an oppressor, you're toxic, anything negative, you shouldn't talk because you're, a white male or you're a boy, you shouldn't have an opinion on this issue. You know how many times I've heard you're a man, you shouldn't have an opinion on this? I'm sorry, my gender has nothing to do with my opinions. If you said that to any other group, it would be considered sexist or racist. But it's okay somehow towards men to mass generalize them. And so, again, we just live in this weird state where we have to shy away from the things that made us great. And I'm telling you, don't shy away from it. Look, I hope you like this podcast. It's new. I know it's controversial, but bear with me. If you don't like what I'm saying, then come debate me. I'm open to that. So please like and subscribe.